does not come before salvation, and salvation does not come without truth.
I will only tell the truth. I will only tell the truth. Truth.
People wonder, is he walking just a new slave? Or religion, he just covered it with new change. Trapping out the church, he ain't really fake. He divisive, he don't rep the king, he just want the back. Oh man, now they acting like it's suddenly political. Told me to shut my mouth and get my checks from evangelicals. Boy, my mama raised me on Angela and Eldridge. Chuck Berry made it, but the credit went to Elvis. No, you never knew that. No, you think I'm too black. I just think I'm too real. I grew up on Tupac. You grew up thinking that the Panthers was some terrorists. I grew up hearing how they fed my mama eggs and grits. They say you should follow in the steps of King. I say you forgotten how they shot him in the streets. I ain't really changed, it's the same old rebel. Still a radical, I'm passionate, it's just another level. AC told me I should fight back, they don't like that. Just know if you rock the boat, you better have a life raft. BJ told me I should fight back, they don't like that. Just know if you rock the boat, you better have a life raft.
What's up? This your boy Chef D. Back with the Thinking Out Loud Dangerous Minds podcast. This is episode 08. We're back from our hiatus. What's up, bro?
What it do, staff, man? What's going on, man? It's your boy Ministry. We back at it again, man. Like you said, hey, number 8, new beginnings. My boy Kobe's original number, you know.
We don't want to hear about that. We ain't studying no Kobe.
Yeah,
Kobe his knees gone, so he had to retire at 8.
Hey, whatever, man. Hey, anyway, I met a Kobe fan tonight at the grocery store, man. It did me proud, man. He saw, I got my Kobe shirt on now, and he saw my shirt, man. He was like, hey, he had to shake my hand, man. We a rare breed, man. You know, you got a lot of hate in this life, you know, man. For cats who want to hate on the greatness that is the Black Mamba, but you know, hey, it's all good, man. Everybody can't travel this path, so you know, I take that in stride, man.
I mean, hey, man, don't get mad at me. Now, what's that? Kobe knees drunk some Red Bull, got some wings and flew away.
Whatever.
Anyway, this is the Thinking Out Loud Dangerous Minds podcast, man. Like my boy said, we are back. New beginnings. This is episode number 8. And we got some stuff we want to talk about. But before we get into that, we always try to talk about things we've been into prior to or since we last met up. And it's been about 2 weeks since we last talked. So anything interesting in your world took place, man, real quick?
For me, I just, I finished I finished season 3 of Narcos. Which is a show I really do enjoy. And it's crazy because I didn't think I would.
Before, it's on YouTube. It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, on Netflix. And really good show, man. I guess what I like about shows like that, it takes you into that world. Somebody like myself who's never been in that type of environment, never been, attached to anything that deals with, the drug world or anything like that. But it just gives you this inside look at, what took place, in these cartels and things like that. And it's based on true stories. It's based on the true story of Pablo Escobar. At least the first two seasons are based on the life of Pablo Escobar and the Medellin drug cartel in Colombia. And then season 3 deals with the cartel that rose up after the Medellin cartel, fizzled out. The next drug cartel, which was the Cali cartel, which rose to prominence, and that's what they deal with in season 3. And it's all based on true story. This stuff happened in the Started like in the mid late '80s into the '90s, and right now the time frame it's in is in the mid '90s during the Clinton administration, and
Okay.
it's a very interesting, entertaining, and very engaging show. But
Okay.
like I said, I just finished season 3. Um, still been reading through the Souls of Black Folk by W.B. Du Bois. About at the end of it, it's been a really interesting book, really good book. It just really does a good take on just the. It's about the plight of the American, as WEB puts it, the American Negro. And he talked in the beginning of the book. He talks about how we tend to have this double consciousness as a people, where we're both American and we are black. We have our black consciousness that we live in, but we also have this part of us that is an American citizen and aspires to enjoy all the privileges that entails, uh, and interacting with the broader culture of America, but we tend to have to kind of operate and function in a different type of way, um, to play according to the rules of the game and the system that's already been set that really kind of works against us. There's that consciousness we have to have, plus our own innate, our own consciousness of our own black culture. And so he talks about
Right.
this double consciousness or this double world. Um,
We kind of talked about that on a previous podcast where we talked about how, as blacks in America, you have to have two types of communication styles.
mhm.
You have to
Yeah.
have your work, business, communication skill. Then you have, of course, you have amongst your own communication where when we out in the workforce, we talk this way, we operate this way, but when we amongst our own, we can operate a different way, and we got to know how to operate in both worlds. Whereas a lot of times that ain't the case for other groups. But anyway, go
Mhm.
ahead.
But yeah, so I mean, been on that. Also, been also doing a little reading over C.S. Lewis's book Mere Christianity, uh, which is actually my second time going through this book. I read this a couple years back, um, and but I wanted to refresh myself on the book because the first time I read it, uh, because the way C.S. Lewis writes, sometimes some of the stuff he says kind of goes over my head first take, and so I wanted to go back through it and really kind of peel deeper into what some of the concepts and ideas that he was communicating in that book. So
Okay.
that's also what I've been on. So yeah, Mere Christianity, Souls of Black Folks, those two books. The Souls is by W.B. Du Bois, and Mere Christianity is by C.S. Lewis. Two great writers who I believe both whom died in 1963. C.S. Lewis actually died on the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. He died the same day. But his was from an illness. But yeah, but that's what I've been on, man. Just doing little Netflix, watching Netflix shows, and then step on my reading, man, trying to you know my of history, and then theology and stuff like that, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as far as me, man, I haven't been actually. I've been remodeling. That's why we didn't get a chance to meet up last week because my kitchen was totally dismantled. Every door, cabinet door, pantry door was taken down. Every screw and hinge and handle taken off. Totally repainted, remodeled the kitchen, and that started out being supposed to be a 2-day event, turned into a still going on event. I'm looking at right now. I'm in my man cave, and you've been in my man cave. So behind my entertainment area on the floor, right outside the restroom here, I have a few more of the cabinet doors. That's actually got their clear coat on, so I can take them up, but I gotta paint 3 more doors. So that and we actually had a crusade outside, like tent revival type event going on in 2 different places, one in Jackson and one here in Cape. And I end up having to speak at the one here in Cape on that Sunday, man. I didn't know I was gonna have to speak, but they say be ready in and out of season. So, but actually, after I got done speaking, and my message was, thank God for drawing me, and I kind of was dealing with how when you look at that word in Greek, it translates drag, and literally meaning if it wasn't for Christ, literally dragging us, lassoing us, and pulling us out of our lifestyles and out of our proclivities and way of living and way of thinking, we will still be there because none of us come to the Father except He first plants the seed to want to come. Like, we think the spark of inspiration starts with us. It actually starts with Him.
That's right.
Giving us the mind to want to come to Him. And it's like, that's crazy how, like in conception, when they went into the mind of the person and planted this thought. Yeah, and they had to go so deep that he thought it was his thought.
Yes.
Well, in so many ways, that's kind of how it is with us. We thought we chose him, but the Bible clearly says he chose us. We didn't choose him. He chose us. So after I got done dealing with that and talking about that and how that works, man, about 10, 11 people gave their life to Christ. And it was pretty cool. And the Lord really moved and really worked. And so, yeah, I've been doing that and working and, fathering and been gaming a little. I'm an avid gamer. So I get every now and again, I try to get a little game in. Right now, I'm not on my Switch as much. Because I haven't been watching movies like you. I've been in my pastime when I do have some free times. I kind of try to turn on a game and escape in a game. So I've been playing that NBA 2K18 on the 4, and I've been playing a few games on my Switch. But outside of that, man, that's been about it. So anyway, so that's been my dealings for the last 2 weeks since we talked. There's been a few other things that I've done, but for the most part, that's been the most. But anyway, so let's get into the subject and the topics for this particular podcast. So basically, there's 2 things that we want to talk about tonight. One being Lecrae is back, and we want to know, is he back? Did he come back with a vengeance, or is he just back? and the main topic we want to talk about is basically the White House. This administration is literally at war with the sports world, particularly the NFL and the NBA, and the stirrings that are taking place between these 2 factions, these 2 entities, or these 3 entities, because you have a lot of NBA stars chiming in on certain topics. You have a lot of NFL things going on. Like last Sunday, there was a across the board unified kneeling that took place with just about every team. I think outside of the Steelers, every team participated. Even like Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, came out and kneeled. You have people like, when we're going to talk about this, Ray Lewis, who really spoke out against Colin Kaepernick for his activity. He took 2 knees, and many others have, in solidarity, showed a unified front in kneeling, reacting to the criticism from our president, 45, some call him Donald Trump, others call him, but the 45th president, Donald Trump, and a statement that he made at a rally in Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. So
Alabama.
Was it Alabama? Okay, I knew it was one of them.
Huntsville.
Okay, what I'm finna do is I thought they said Kentucky, but yeah, I'm glad you hear it correct. So Alabama. So I'm going to play the audio. There will be some choice words from our president towards those who take a knee during the national anthem. So this is not the Thinking Out Loud Dangerous podcast verbiage. This is our president. So let's go.
Somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now. Out.
I'm going to play it again.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now. Out. He's fired. He's fired.
I'm going to play a little bit more of it to give full context.
You know, some owner's going to do that. He's going to say, that guy that disrespects our flag, he's fired. And that owner, they don't know it. They don't know it. They're friends of mine, many of them. They don't know it. They'll be the most popular person for a week. They'll be the most popular person in this country because that's a total disrespect of our heritage. That's a total disrespect of everything that we stand for, okay? Everything that we stand for.
So there you have it. So this is the statement that has caused a chain reaction amongst the sports world, amongst other things that have took place since we last talked, Trev. But this is the main conversation piece, the topic that is taking place in our nation. And I consider it distractions. But anyway, it is a conversation. So Donald Trump at a rally in Alabama, and what city you said it was in Alabama?
Huntsville.
Clintsville, Alabama.
Huntsville.
I can't hear how you say it. It sound like Clintsville from here, but you sound like you're saying something else though.
Yeah, Huntsville.
Huntsville.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Huntsville, Alabama. Okay. So anyway, no matter where it is. So this is what he said. He said he wished that one of these owners would basically fire these SOBs.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, first of all, if you know anything, this is very inappropriate. Not just the language that Trump chose to use, but the fact that Trump been in the position that he's in to use his influence to pressure anyone to fire people. That's like one thing that in his position he is not supposed to do. They are not supposed to try to influence certain activity like that. That's one thing. Another thing, the language. The fact that this is our president, that he sits in this dignified seat, probably the most powerful seat
in the world,
in the known world. That's out front. Now we know there's probably more powerful seats in the unseen activity of the world, but as far as the scenes out front world, the president of the United States is the most powerful seat in the world, and this is not exemplary of what a president and how a president should conduct himself in front of not just masses of people at a rally, but on cameras being broadcast, not just across this nation, but across the world. So, and this caused a response from the NFL owner and players where they came out in unison, in solidarity, and they all bowed. They all took a knee, or they all stood arms locked together in protest or counter protest to the rhetoric and the criticism and the language uh, uh, that was pointed towards them or levied towards them by our president. Now, there's many conversations pieces that we got to go to from this, like the fact that the original thing that was taking place with Colin Kaepernick is slowly and almost totally has been overshadowed and lost in this kind of ocean waves of rewriting, reshaping the narrative of what his original meaning was about. That has totally been lost. And here we are having these war of words, Twitter wars between our White House, our president, and sports, popular sports figures, and these big major sports leagues. So with all that, like, give me your initial thoughts on when you heard this or heard about this from Donald Trump and his language, and what he was saying. Like, what's your thoughts on it, Trev?
Well, when I first off, the way I found out about it is I actually I saw LeBron's tweet at President Trump.
Now, see, I ain't even got there yet. I ain't even go there yet.
Yeah, but just to give you context as to how I even stumbled across this. That's how I stumbled across it. So, which is kind of shows that I was kind of late to getting, getting to the facts or whatever. But I guess my initial thoughts were, first off, to be honest, it was just like, okay, now what? Now what is he putting his foot in his mouth about now? What is he said now that show me and my demographics, and my culture dignity? In what way is he devalued us again? In what way has he devalued us now? Because I was like, okay, so he done stirred up something else. That was my. He said, I was just like, and seeing that he called called Colin Kaepernick and whoever else joins him in these protests, calling them SOBs. I was just like, wow. And the first thing that popped in my mind when I heard that is that okay? Now, what would have happened if Obama would have said that? That's the first thing that popped in my mind, because and my mind tends to kind of do that as I watch Trump and I listen to the stuff he says, and I see how people just eat it up, and they just they just take it hook, line, and sinker. I was just like, wow. I just felt like Obama wouldn't have been able to get away with it. It would have been just a media frenzy in a huge pushback had he spoke like that publicly about anybody. But I was like, wow. I don't ever remember a president speaking in this way, with such speech. I'm just like, and then also I was just like, okay, how long are we as a nation gonna put up with this? And like, what new depths does he have to sink to before we're like, okay, you know what? This is ridiculous. we got to do something. that was I would say that my initial thoughts was just further discussed, and just I can't believe this. I can't believe we're continuing to just go along with this. The fact that a, a portion of America is eating this up, and taking this bait, hook, line, and sinker, and that we rather hear somebody. We rather hear somebody bash people protesting something that's very serious. We rather hear we bash them than really think about and take time to actually think through what these men are protesting about, and actually sit down and take the time to ask ourselves as a country, okay, is there really still racial injustice? Is there really still police brutality? Okay, if so, how would we go about fixing this? Where do we start? So I mean, it's like, but instead of being that way, instead of considering what Colin Kaepernick and gentlemen who have joined him in this protest, instead of considering what these gentlemen are protesting about, we choose to. It's just we find every reason why it's wrong. You're disrespecting, but to answer your question, my first thoughts was just like, now what? And then, okay, yeah, I was still shocked of everything that he's allowed to get away with, and that he's praised for, that the last administration would have got blackballed, and I mean, possibly even impeached, but yeah, that was my initial thoughts, and then ultimately it led to just disgust, and and just like, okay, when is enough going to be enough? But I turn it back over to you, Staff.
Yeah, I was just going to say you making a valid point. Like, a lot of folks will say, well, that's the easy place to go if Obama would have did this. If Obama would have did that, but it's the truth though. Like,
I was just about to say that's why it's easy to go there, because it's the truth.
I'm saying, like, a lot of folks who would oppose that notion would try to, there you go. But it is the truth. Like, they held Obama to a very high standard that Trump has bulldozed through with no criticism hardly at all from very powerful, influential people that can really bring strong, staunch critique to his feet that probably would cause him to kind of back up on some of the stuff that he's doing. Like, Trump, we talk about Trump, but is anyone really holding Trump accountable to just the way that he approached things? Like, okay, prime example, when he was giving the speech at the United Nations, I think that was United Kingdom or something, one of those, he was giving a speech and he said that towards North Korea, like, we're totally to destroy them. Like, man, like, is that the proper way to talk to a whole nation of people? Like, understand that we don't like, this guy. Understand we feel like he's an evil dictator, bad person. I'm with all that, but how you go about doing things and how you approach things, the way that you communicate and talk. To me, Trump is allowed to say things that he should not be able to say as the president of the United States. Like, someone should be calling this stuff out. Someone should be holding this dude to criticism and accountability. That, like you said, if Obama would have said, I remember when Michelle hugged the queen, what's her name? the Queen of
England?
England. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, when she hugged her wrong. I don't know if you remember this, but she wasn't supposed to hug her supposedly this way, where she put her arm around her or something like that. They said it painted her as dominant over her. Like she got heavily criticized for that. or when she said that she wasn't proud of America. Remember she said that? And how much criticism she got, or when Obama didn't wear a pin that was a flag of the United States of America, they said he was unpatriotic and got heavily criticized for that. He said when he said Americans are, I think he said disgruntled or something Obama said. And dude, like everything that dude said that's not even close to what Trump is able to do, this man got called to the carpet for it. He literally had to come out and denounce how you say his name, White, the pastor.
Jeremiah White.
Jeremiah White. He had to come out and literally denounce him before he could even have a true opportunity to win the presidency. Whereas Trump, he's been endorsed by white supremacists and KKK and Nazis and different things. He's been endorsed, promoted, pumped, and everything. And he didn't kind of have to denounce none of these folks. So there's like a double standard for him. To me, not just to Obama, but all presidents before him. There's a double standard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but but you're right, man. To me, Trump saying that was just absolutely out of line. It was out of line. Point blank, period. Don't care what position you take with kneeling to the flag, whether you feel like it's disrespectful, whether you understand the real reasons and what the demonstration is really aiming at, whatever proclivity you're on, whatever opinion you are on, Trump saying that was out of line. Secondly, you right. The message that originally was around the kneeling that Colin Kaepernick was doing has totally been lost in all this. Like, I feel like the NFL is very hypocritical right now because it took Trump calling you or your product or it took Trump levying criticism towards your product and calling your players mothers dogs and calling your players bastards to get you to provoke you to take a knee. Not what Colin Kaepernick was talking about, the senseless, unjust killing of unarmed blacks and minorities in this country, the way that the police and law enforcement treats minorities and blacks pretty much in this country. None of that provoked you enough to stand in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick. Matter of fact, you didn't even give him a job after this year. He's jobless. He doesn't have a job in NFL right now.
That's correct.
But President Trump, who said, I am a friend with these guys, I know these guys, it took him damaging or levying criticism towards the shield of the NFL to get Jerry Jones and many other owners and players of all hues to stand in solidarity in unison to make a statement towards the White House and this president. Like, to me, it's hypocritical. Like, I understand, and but it's like, wait a minute. So lives being lost don't mean nothing to you. But when you potentially are putting my dollars in jeopardy, then the whole league takes a knee. It's like, bruh, and then don't let me get on Ray Lewis. don't let me bring up LaShawn McCoy, who staunchly criticized Colin Kaepernick for using the football and his position as quarterback and the field of play as an opportunity to make a statement and protest, and thought it was the wrong place and wrong time. Ray Lewis, wrong place, wrong time, and he would never kneel to the flag and disrespect this great American flag. Where now, when the NFL elites and the bosses and everybody want everybody to take a knee, now you not only take a knee, you ain't even playing anymore. Trev, he don't even play anymore.
Yeah.
But not only is he taking a knee, he on both knees. It's like, come on, man. Forget come on, man. It's like Ed Lover. Come on, son. Like, dude, Charlemagne should give him Donkey of the Day. Like that's how I feel about that. Ray Lewis should get Donkey of the Day for that gesture. But go ahead.
He quite possibly could have gotten it.
I probably should check and see.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make some, add to that. Then I'm gonna play some audio from a Dallas sportscaster that he made a powerful statement that I thought summed it all up, and we kind of dialogue on that, and then of course we'll move over to Lecrae. Let me ask you this: you brought up LeBron.
Yes.
This was another situation, and like I said, this president, to me, Trump is all about ensuring that his name will be remembered when he's gone. Like, it's not about fixing nothing. It's not about making America great again, the whole thing he ran on. I don't think none of that is genuinely what he's after. I think Trump wants to be remembered as the most polarizing, I did it my way president ever in the history of presidents. That's what I think he's after. I think his narcissism, his narcissistic ways won't allow him to care about people. I don't think he care about people. He don't have to. Dude, look at all the stuff that's going on in the nation of America, all the hurricanes and different things that has literally ripped up Florida and disrupted the harmony in Houston, and the stuff that happened in Puerto Rico. Literally, they saying it's catastrophic over there. Yeah. And this dude is more concerned about who's not coming to see him at the White House.
Yeah.
So like you said, you brought up LeBron, and this is about Trump rescinding his invite because Stephen Curry had already said he wasn't coming, along with Durant and many other key players of the Warriors are not going to the White House. So when Trump heard this, and they said you could literally go and watch whatever is going on Fox News in the morning, Trump bases his tweets off of that dialogue. Fox and Friends or something like that. They said if you go and watch that show, everything Trump tweets about, the conversation happened on that show. So anyway, the show was talking about the fact that Steph Curry was hesitant and unwilling to come to the White House. And right after that, Trump tweeted, since he's hesitant, his invite is being withdrawn. Taken back. Yeah. So LeBron tweeted, he called him a bum. He said, "You bum."
Yeah.
We need to talk about that. Is that right of LeBron? But he called the president a bum, and he said, "You can't uninvite someone who was never coming."
Yeah.
And he said, coming to the White House was an honor until you arrived. That's what LeBron tweeted. So, what's your thoughts on that, man? Like, give me your thoughts on that. Now I'm gonna play this video after that.
With him calling him a bum, while I understand the frustration and the anger, I probably wouldn't call him a bum. But now that second half of it, where he says, coming to the White House was an honor until you until you became president. Which some may think that may be more disrespectful than him calling him a bum, but I I tend to agree more with that because I think that statement, that part of the statement really does sum up kind of the state the place we're in as a nation with him with his administration. Like going back to what you had said about how, you know, his presidency is gonna go down in history as being, you know, unlike any other. The word that came to my mind, and you could actually do a play on words with this, but the word that came to my mind was unprecedented. But the thing is, not only unprecedented, unprecedented. Like he's the unpresident. Like he's the president who's most unlike any other president. So yeah, he's
that's some lyrics, bro. That's
yeah.
some double entendres right there.
Yeah. You know, so it's like this dude, this cat is he literally. I mean, he is unprecedented. Like there's been no president like him, and mind you, America has a history of having, you know, I mean, like like before Abraham Lincoln, all of the presidents who were from the South were either slaveholders or they supported slavery. You know, we've had presidents who have been white supremacists. Woodrow Wilson was one. You know, who was president in the early 1900s. I mean, not to mention all the presidents, you know, the many ones from the 1800s.
Yeah.
But yet and still, for Trump to be the president in the day and age that he's the president in the 21st century, 2017, where, you know, we have become a more multiculturally focused country, because we've been multicultural for decades. I mean, for years we've been multicultural. Just that
we're
you didn't see
about it now.
Yeah, you didn't see it portrayed or promoted on mainstream TV until, like, I would say, like, maybe 90s, you know, and into the 2000s. But it's like, in light of, you know, where we have come as a nation, to have a president who
So
basically runs, yes, very unpresidential. I mean, like, at least a Woodrow Wilson, as much of a closet white supremacist as he was, ways he would communicate with, you know, in the public, you know, sphere.
Yeah.
And the way he would communicate, you know, I mean, of course, I know Trump's base would say, well, he tells it like it is, and he's not beating around the bush, and he's not using, you know, politician speak, and I mean, okay, you may have a point there, but he goes too far. Yeah, you want somebody that's going to be. We do need more honesty from our politicians, no doubt. But there's a difference between honesty and just being crass and being rude and being, I mean, like, inconsiderate and no compassion and no concern for certain demographics of American society. And that's what Trump, that's what he represents to me. He can't, most presidents have always had to wrestle with the tension of how can they best represent the entirety of a country that's so full of diversity, and that even in certain areas they may not necessarily agree with certain maybe communities or certain pocket, they don't agree with the way certain things are done in certain pockets of our civilization and society. They may not see eye to eye with certain demographics of our society, but yet and still, they have to wrestle with the tension of how can they best represent and best speak for the whole of American civilization. I would say that our presidents have at least tried to wrestle with that to some degree. Right. Not this one. Not President Trump.
It's almost like Donald Trump watched Chris Rock's movie Head of State and took his cues from some of the stuff. I'm serious though. Like, if you really watch Head of State, Chris Rock was portraying a character who was totally unconditioned. He wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't a politician. He wasn't none of these things. So he ran like a civilian, like a regular citizen. He talked regular. He did, and oftentimes, especially amongst Republicans, what I hear this a lot, that they want a president that they can drink a beer with, they can have a beer with. And if we be honest, this might be where Trump has found success. Is Trump isn't like politicians. He isn't like anything we have ever seen, but that does not negate or justify some of the actions and activity and some of the verbiage and some of the like trying to draw trying to make what the white supremacists did in Charlottesville and draw equivalency to those who was there to counter protest that, like, and to say that there was good people on both sides when you got neo-Nazis over here, you got KKK members and then white supremacists over here, and you didn't call them SOBs. You didn't fix your mouth to call them. Them SOBs need to be fired. They bosses need to look at the video and any face you saw on there, you should fire them. No, he didn't do that, but because of the who we're talking about, and predominantly most of the people bowing and taking a kneel, or that are kneeling, are black, players of color. Not only do you say they deserve to be fired, but you call them from the seat and in the position of president, you call them sons of bees. And got cheers. You heard it in the audio, and America chants like USA. It's like, dude, and the thought came to me, and I'm about to play this video, but the thought came to me of how colonialism was spreading across Germany. You know what I'm saying? And how that was able to happen by the rhetoric, the propaganda, the spinning that Hitler did, caused a whole nation to hate a people strictly off of propaganda and slighted, biased rhetoric. And if you look at what Trump is doing, Trump is successful by some of the exact same tactics. Like what Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for, taking focus off what he said. Like when they asked him, why are you kneeling? This is not to disrespect the flag. This is not to disrespect the soldiers and veterans. And I got something to say about that after we listen to this video. This is about what's going on with police brutality in minority neighborhoods. I love the flag, but until the flag represent all of us, I'm going to take a knee. That was that was what he said. When did this turn? How did this turn into he's protesting against America, patriotism, our soldiers, our military? Like that's what done happened, and that's the only narrative that reigns and rings across the airwaves and this debated, where the man clearly said what he stood for. So anyway, it's like this man is successful in doing things that's very dictator-like. And
Very divisive.
And divisive and ununifying of our nation. But he's praised for it and justified in many accounts. Whereas, like you said, if Obama did half of this stuff, not even half, a smidgen of this stuff, he definitely wouldn't have had a second term, and he probably would have got out within 2 years of his first. So. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to play this real quick, and then we'll continue this conversation.
Former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick takes a knee during the national anthem in San Francisco last year. We noticed, but very few players joined him. Not many players seem to care. He can't get a job in the NFL now, and very few have said much about that either. But the president says he wants that peaceful protest to stop, says those players should be fired if they take a knee during the anthem, and calls those players a name I never thought I'd live long enough to hear a president say, and now everybody cares. Donald Trump has said he supports a peaceful protest because it's an American's right, but not this protest, and there's the problem. Any protest you don't agree with is a protest that should be stopped. Martin Luther King should have marched across a different bridge. Young black Americans should have gone to a different college and found a different lunch counter. And college kids in the 60s had no right to protest an immoral war. I served in the military during the Vietnam War, and my foot hurt too. But I've served anyway. My best friend in high school was killed in Vietnam, and Carol Meyer will be 18 years old forever, and he did not die so that you could decide who is a patriot and who loves America more. The young black athletes are not disrespecting America or the military by taking a knee during the anthem. They are respecting the best thing about America. It's a dog whistle to the racist among us to say otherwise. They and all of us should protest how black Americans are treated in this country. And if you don't think white privilege is a fact, you don't understand America. The comedian Chris Rock says it best. There's not a white man in America who would trade places with him, and he's rich. It has not gone unnoticed that Trump has spoken out against the Mexicans who want to come to America for a better life, against the Muslims, and now against the black athlete. But he says nothing for days about the white man who marched under a Nazi flag in Charlottesville, except to remind us there were good people there. And when he finally tried to say the right thing, not one of them was called an SOB or should be fired. We have white men in America who wave the Nazi flag and the Confederate flag, and he's concerned about taking a knee because it disrespects this flag. We use that flag to sell mattresses and beer. We wear it as a swimsuit. We wrap our bald heads in a flag bandana and stick it in our pants because we disrespect that flag every day. Maybe we all need to read the Constitution again. There has never been a better use of pen to paper. Our forefathers made freedom of speech the First Amendment. They listed 10, and not one of them says you have to stand during the anthem. And I think those men respected the country they fought for and founded a great deal more than the self-proclaimed patriots who are simply hypocrites because they want to deny the basic freedom of this great country, a country they supposedly value and cherish so much.
Okay, now that was Dale Hansen. He's a sports commentator in Dallas. Bruh, I don't think I can even articulate it any better than what he did. Like, what did you think of that, man?
Stan, man. I was first off, that was exactly what I was going to say. I couldn't even hope to even say it any better than he did. I mean, and this might sound foolish to some, but that almost brought tears. That came close to bringing tears in my eyes, man, because he's hitting home with the actual core reasoning behind the protests, and then he's calling out the hypocrisy and exposing it for what it is. I mean, he calls out the president with his hypocrisy, and how anytime he critiques something, he shows how all his critiques are lunged at minorities, racial minorities, ethnic minorities. He's got plenty of critiques for Mexicans or immigrants. As he labels him. He criticism toward Muslims, kinds of criticism, black athletes, but like the guy says, he's had no real criticism of the neo Nazis and the white nationalists that were in Charlottesville. Not one. But yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. I couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah. And what do you think
word.
about the line about the flag? And and that's kind of where I wanted to go. Like, he made a very profound statement that is very true, and it brought reality to my thoughts. Like, from what I understand, some of the stuff we do with the flag is actually supposed to be is very incorrect. And I forgot where I heard this at, but they was basically saying it is a disrespect and a dishonor, and it's actually in writing that a flag should never. Maybe you were saying it, that the flag should not be worn like shorts or something like that. You said that.
Yeah, there was a gentleman. His name is Nick Wright. On the First Things First show that he's on with Chris Carter. And I forget the young lady who's on there, but he was talking about. He said that there's I guess flag codes.
Yeah,
and one of the codes is a flag shouldn't be made into shorts or anything like that. Now, me personally, I would personally disagree with that, only because I would say I would feel that the heart behind that would be to support the flag and yeah, but I do agree with Nick Wright's context of what he was getting at. He was getting at basically, look, if we're going to be up in arms about so-called disrespect of the flag, okay, then let's look at what actually is in writing about disrespect. There's things that we do that actually, according to the flag codes, that we do that actually is said to be disrespectful. But we don't get up in arms about that. But we get up in arms about somebody, exercising their actually constitutional right to protest, and they're not even protesting the flag. They're protesting racial injustice, which therein lies the real problem. But we're gonna cloak that in patriotism and nationalism and all this other stuff.
And I know we really don't have time to go into that, but I will. We've actually kind of went over. I like how he brought up, and I want to say something what you just said, but I like how Dale Hansen brought up all the different ways that, according to the code, we disrespect the flag.
Yes.
Then I like how he pointed out the fact that Trump had nothing to say about these white supremacist groups that came out in Charlottesville that was carrying a Nazi flag.
Yeah.
And
Confederate flag.
And a Confederate flag. And that's literally disrespecting our flag as well, but he didn't say nothing about that. But what I'm starting to learn is, man, and I said this to you yesterday, but we're going to have to table it, but I want to put it out here. And something we might need to dialogue about. And I think I've said this before. That I'm starting to learn that America worship white identity. And even the Christians don't really worship Christ. They worship whiteness. Most do. And not all, but most. And or a lot. Let me put it like that. And if you really got down to the root, because the Bible say, the heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it, right? And he knows the very intentions of your heart. If we get down to the root of not all, but a large portion of even evangelicals and Christians in with our white brothers, I would say they worship more the white identity and their white identity than they do Christ or the Bible. And patriotism is what they worship. They worship the flag. They worship being Americans but it's really wrapped in white supremacy and whiteness. And it really is really concerning. That's what I would say. It's really concerning to me. But like I said, there's a whole nother conversation. And I'm not gonna say that they don't do it. We blacks are guilty of this as well in smaller pockets, but you got the 5%ers, you got the Muslims. I mean, not some Muslims, some factions of Muslims, some factions of Hebrew Israelites are guilty of the same type of stuff. But you know,
they're an extreme minority.
Yeah, they're an extreme minority.
You know, where the country wasn't shaped and molded by it,
right?
You know,
whereas what I'm talking about with some of our white brothers, and I call them brothers, even though they might not call me brother, they are tricked into worshiping whiteness, and you know that's why we kind of pivot to Lecrae and this new album, kind of leaving Trump. And maybe we had to come back to that because I'm pretty sure we're going to get so much more from this current president that we have so many more opportunities to talk about him. But leaving
never ceases to amaze.
Yeah, leaving that going over to Lecrae. Lecrae has released his new album. What is the title?
All Things Work Together.
All Things Works Together. This is his, I guess this will technically be his 7th album, but I throw the Church Clothes up in there, so I'm thinking it's 10, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Anomaly was his 7th.
So was Anomaly his 7th and the Church Boys made? Yeah, that's right. Anomaly was the 7th. Church Clothes, those 3 projects made it. Well, you know, I add them into his project because them really wasn't. He released them like they was mixtapes. But there was albums, man. So this is his 11th album, then? I
believe so, or 8th. You know, not counting the mixtapes, but yeah, 8th or 11th. I believe so.
Yeah, Church Clothes. The Church Clothes project was album. I don't care what he say. Them was album.
now the one that most felt like an album to me was Church Clothes 3. That felt like an album to me.
An album. But Church Clothes 2 was an album. Church Clothes 1, that was dude. Them beats, he wasn't like he was rapping over beats we had ever heard before. There was new beats. There was just albums that weren't called albums. But anyway, it's either his 8th album or technically his 8th album. But in how he released stuff, I would say it's his 11th. So he's back. He's making some very strong points in this album. So let me get your thoughts. Like, is he back or is he just back with another album? Or is Lecrae back? Has he redeemed himself? Do we owe him, like, maybe not you as much as me, but is there apologies owed to Lecrae?
I mean, I would say, I guess first I would say, is he back? I mean, I guess it just depends on what. I guess it would just depend on what you would deem.
Well, let me shape what I mean when I say back.
Yeah, like I guess like back from what in particular.
Basic saying. So basic, what I mean when I say is he back? A lot of us was concerned based on interviews, based on the BET situation, based on some of the stuff that Lecrae was saying in these interviews, that Lecrae was anti-CHH, anti anything that made him fit into a box that will point him as or label him as being a Christian. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And I made the statement that I ain't off the bike, but my kickstand is up. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't got off the bike yet, but I'm definitely sitting with my kickstand up, like trying to figure out what's going on. Others were totally off the Lecrae bandwagon, totally rejected Lecrae, as many was calling him a heretic, backslider, a sinner, a Judas. All these things was being levied at Lecrae. Some was just going a little too far with it. Others I felt was in fair grounds, fair bounds with their criticism. So, based on all that, and then what we heard was packaged in this album, in this project, would those who levied this criticism at Lecrae owe him an apology? And based on that, would we say the Lecrae that everyone thought was gone is back?
That's tough. I would say, well, there's some there's some individuals who they're probably going to even be more enraged by this album because and those with
I can't help it, but you're so right.
yeah, and those would tend to be the ones who probably voted for the the one we spoke about just in the last topic. And but those would be more enraged by this album because he's more vocal about issues that deal with race and ethnicity, and then also how it intersects and intertwines with his faith, with our faith, with the Christian faith.
Yeah,
and
like it's weaved together, so to speak.
Yeah,
so
and
weaving together in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and basically like he, in facts, and I would probably even dare say in Come and Get Me, he pretty much kind of like puts it out there like, look, I'm not going to separate my ethnicity from my faith. They're both apart. They're both intertwined because I'm fully 100% Christian, but I'm also a black man. I'm a black American. Who I'm proud of my blackness. And my blackness is beautiful.
And oftentimes, a lot of times, Christians are being Christians. Some take the position of trying to remove that and trying to use Christianity as a way to remove those concerns. Like you shouldn't, because you're not black in Christ. We're neither white nor black. But my experience in America is black. So while yes, I'm not the Bible, we not Jew nor Gentile, male nor female, all that type of stuff. Yeah, that's correct. But that's in if we operated in harmony with the scriptures and our nation did, then yes, we can run with that. But our nation is not subject to that notion. They don't follow that notion. So my experience in America is going to be dictated by my race, my color. And so as I am a Christian in America, this is what I was hearing from Lecrae, I am also authentically black. And things that affect black people affect me, and it's going to be echoed and filtered and kind of rationalized in my music. My music going to be therapeutic for me. That's how I'm going to release some of this stuff. So anyway, I kind of took over. Go ahead.
But yeah, like I mean, basically he's saying like, look, I'm a Christian and I love Jesus, but I'm a black man. I love my blackness as well. He took shots at some of the traditional views, the mainstream views of certain things, and basically was showing that basically how a majority culture has basically tampered with the American lens as far as like how we view certain issues or certain points and moments in time in history, or like how we view our faith, like how we view the Christian faith in America, or let's get to like a social issue like the Black Panther Party, and how he talked about, like, depending on who you talk to, one people to say they were a group of revolutionaries who were working for, who were trying to fight for civil rights. Another group would say they were domestic terrorists.
Right.
And Lecrae takes a shot at the majority culture's view of them being terrorists. And I'll say this.
I like how he put it too. He
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
I grew up hearing that Black Panther was terrorists. I grew up hearing how they fed my mama eggs and grits. It's like
yeah, yes.
Yeah, they basically, he was saying how without the Black Panthers, my mom would have starved. But so they were heroes and champions and protectors to my parents, but to your descendants, they were, like you said, domestic terrorists, no different than the Ku Klux Klan. So. But yeah, go ahead though.
Yeah, and then like what I was gonna say to that point is that my son, one of my sons, came to me and told me his teacher basically said that the Black Panthers were they were bad, and they pretty much were terrorists. And I had to, and I don't get me wrong, I didn't agree. I didn't necessarily agree with everything the Black Panthers did, but I don't denounce everything that they did either. I understand that these gentlemen, these men, who were fairly educated men, were fighting for equality, and they also were trying to fight against police brutality, racial injustice, the same things we're still fighting for today. Which now they dealt with it. It was way more pronounced because you got to think this was in the 60s and on into the 70s.
Right.
And what his teachers don't, what my son's teachers don't know, is that the Black Panthers were systematically wiped out. Like this is documented.
Yeah,
this is documented.
But you basically hitting it. They were systematically wiped out, and they were also strategically made to be what many think that they are now. Like many of the views of the Black Panthers now were strategized through propaganda, through sitting in agents to be within the group and do certain things that would cause the group to look a certain way, and it really wasn't. Like there was a lot of government assistance in creating the persona that now many hold with Black Panthers that wasn't, like you said, wasn't true to their original mission and original purpose. And the same thing with other groups. Like if you go research Malcolm X, and some of the stuff that the government's trying to get him to do and him to say, and even trying to aid in setting up, I think even Martin Luther King and stuff like that. So planting agents and stuff within the groups and trying through money and power and almost like what Satan did to Christ, taking him up, said, I can give you, like stuff like that was going on, literally trying to buy them, so to speak. And that kind of went on with the Black Panthers as well. But go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny, how that type of thing. But no, Lecrae, I would say, me personally, to answer your question, I would say, I kind of, in a way, I did kind of feel like he was back. But I would say for the most part, Lecrae is still furthering. He's still in the same journey that he's been on, to where he's trying. He's in this journey where he's wanting to walk as a truly authentic Christian who loves the Lord deeply, loves hip hop culture deeply, loves theology and his black culture and heritage, and also wants to speak wants his faith to speak into issues of social issues, whether it be injustice, whether it be poverty, um, inequalities of many kinds. He wants to be able to be a more holistic Christian, and which I totally support. I totally support that. I guess in the way, in the way I would say that I kind of do feel like in a way he was back. I guess like in this album, I feel like he did. It seemed like he was more. He kind of was willing to be more vocal about his faith again. Like I felt like he was. I say this. He was more vocal about it. And I guess there was more references about his faith in this album than I expected to be there. Now, all Lecrae's music is informed by his faith. Now, let me be clear in stating that. I'm not saying that like Lecrae is falling off the reservation and is he's got songs that are just totally godless and carnal and unchristian. No, I don't think
Being
Lecrae
broke made me rich, Trev. No, I'm joking, man.
You a trip, man. You a trip. You a trip. But no, man. So, but I guess like certain like the song with Kim, not Kim, the song with Kiera Sheard, that
Worth it.
like worth it. That was a bit, I guess kind of surprising to me. Like the sermon excerpts, or the excerpts of like sermon exhortations, of where it's that you hear like a real charismatic black preacher in the background, exhorting the people. That was stuff I was used to hearing on Rebel, or that's something I'm used to hearing in a typical CHH album. So I didn't think, with him trying to distance between himself and that demographic, I didn't think that was going to be. I didn't expect to hear that.
Yeah, the last portion of the album I think is very CHH littered with CHH elements. Like I think literally from 9 all the way down to 14, you clearly hearing, and I would say I even go up to Come and Get Me. You clearly hearing the gospel. I'll say Come and Get Me was the song that really stood out to me, because you brought into the fact that you wasn't expecting to hear as much faith-based lyrics as you did, right?
Yeah.
I kind of was talking to you yesterday, and I kind of gave my thoughts on why Lecrae was able to do that. Is because Lecrae really established and really separated himself from what many feel as a problem. And like he like when he made the statement on, I think it was on Come and Get Me. No, is it Come and Get Me or Facts? Where he said, I still love Jesus, but he said
not the one not the European with the ultra perm.
With the ultra perm and and thin, weak eyes and thin lips, like he really established, like saying that he was if you want a mascot or a puppet, you're gonna have to kill this guy. Like, to me, Lecrae broke away from what I think he perceived and what many might have pressured him to be the mascot for Christianity and hip hop and Christianity that is strongly driven by, at that time, what Lecrae was doing, white evangelical. I think that's fair to say. And I think the reason why Lecrae was able to be as candid about his faith was because he was just as candid about his blackness in the over the course of the album. Whereas back in the past, you wouldn't have heard that blackness, but you would have heard the Christian part. But a lot of folks, of course, have the belief that Christianity is the white man's religion. In the spaces, in the circles that he's interacting in, they believe that this is a white man's religion. Whereas Lecrae pulling his blackness out front, and then through his blackness still showing that he is an unapologetic Christian, but he's just as unapologetic about his blackness. I feel like it gave him space to be more candid about his faith, I guess, separated from the whitewashing of that has happened to his faith in America. That's problematic in a lot of communities' eyes. That's what I saw happen. And it allowed him to be able to be more candid about his faith in the way that he couldn't before. Some of his blackness was very unapologetic. He was very unapologetic about his blackness, because I never saw Lecrae this unapologetic about being a black man in any other album that Lecrae has ever made. And like, his blackness was truly on display here. If anything was on display, that was on display.
Yeah, and what I appreciate, I appreciate how Lecrae went about doing it. I think he was masterful. I think he was masterful in how he did it, because it wasn't excessive, but at the same time, he stated, he got his point across. I feel like he made his point enough, because like I said, it wasn't just a one and done. He hits it on occasion throughout the album. It's a reoccurring statement throughout the album. But it feels organic. It feels natural. It doesn't feel forced.
It doesn't feel forced and overbearing. Like I would say, Show Baraka with Talented 10, with on the clean version was called Colored Island, but on the explicit version or unrated version was called Nigger Island. And a lot of people really had offense, towards Show Baraka and stepping into, and I see that starting to happen more. I guess their identity as a black person or black male in America was suppressed for the sake of the gospel. And now, because of what's going on in America, they can no longer suppress that, and it created tensions amongst the parties and the groups that they found a lot of support and success with. Like, majority of their support and success came from these groups, but these groups are not comfortable with these conversations.
With race. That's right.
That's right. And now Lecrae is kind of he's the one kind of paving the way. And I won't say he was the first, because I would say definitely Show Baraka definitely mowed down some of these mountains before Lecrae, but Lecrae is the bigger star. And of course, he's flattening some of it, whereas Show Baraka kind of mowed down the grass and exposed it. Lecrae just coming in and kind of just smashing it, kind of to pieces, to where it's giving other folks like the Derek Miners and many other artists who flirt with it the opportunity to really express themselves unfiltered and unrepressed by that element that is, CHH, and and the space that CHH has found majority success in, which is basically more of our white evangelical circles. And I don't know, man. I mean, that's what I heard in the album. I told you I felt like it was two different albums. But overall, me personally, I owe Lecrae an apology. Sorry, Lecrae, for ever doubting you and what you was going to do. I feel like Lecrae proved to me that he ain't scared to wear his Christianity in the space that he's in.
But it's going to be on his terms.
On his terms. And I was proud of him for speaking out about a problem that I've been talking about in private amongst artists for a long time. I've been seeing this. And we kind of touched on this stuff a little bit, but like, why wasn't the Flames and other individuals speaking up more about the Michael Browns and the Trayvon Martins and the Eric Garners and what's the little boy that we was talking about yesterday? Tamir Rice. Like, why aren't these individuals bringing awareness to the wrong of those situations? Like, to me, it's hard to see these things happening and people who hold strong influence are not speaking to this stuff. And the thought that came to me was the circle that feeds them, you can't bite the hand that's feeding you. And to talk on these topics is literally to disrupt, is to flirt with disrupting your means of survival and making a living and supplying for your family. Like again, Colin Kaepernick standing and protesting by simply taking a knee has put him out of the NFL. He no longer has a job, even though he's better than 60 to 70% of those quarterbacks that found lead jobs or starting jobs or even backup jobs. He couldn't even find a backup job for protesting. So there's a chance, and like Lecrae said, this is going to hurt him in certain circles. Yeah, this is going to hurt his star. This is going to hurt his brand in certain circles. Well, he said, I waited. I liked it. Like Lecrae was real strategized with this. He said, I waited till I got to this space, to this place to tell you how I really feel. Why is that? Because he couldn't tell you that when you was his main supplier. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't tell you that when you was feeding him and you was giving him his platform, you was giving him the stage to perform on. Now that he has risen and got other stages to where he doesn't have to depend on you, he can be honest. Now, I feel like you can also criticize Lecrae on that too. So at the same time, but because to me, Show Baraka fell on the knife that Lecrae is benefiting from.
Man, you took the word. Stab, that's literally what I was gonna say earlier when you first brought up Show Baraka and when you talked about the talented 10th and you talked about Jim Crow. I literally was gonna say that same statement. That basically only instead of knife, I was gonna say sword. I was gonna say say Show Baraka had to fall on the sword and enable Lecrae to continue on and be the one that's recognized for carrying this banner. That actually Show Baraka was the one. He was the one that really carried this torch and carried it boldly, and was beat down for it. I mean, but go ahead.
So yeah, man. So I say, as far as content, and that's probably why I call it Clock Radio speakers, because I felt like, anyway, we won't go there. But I felt like Lecrae delivered a solid project, definitely worth a listen. Is memorable, is exhilarating. It teared me up at points. It made me reflect on myself a whole lot. It was very spiritual at points, very like just from my faith and my walk. It really challenged me. Like, it really brought me to some place like, dude, I'm at work having to step around the corner because I started tearing up to kind of fix my face. And then that didn't happen once. That happened twice.
Yeah.
Through 2 listens on 2 different songs. So I'm like, what? And I haven't cried. I haven't literally shedded a tear on any album that I can really think of. This is the first time that I've ever shedded a tear with listening to a Christian or an album that is by a Christian artist. I won't say CHH because Lecrae claims he's not a CHH artist, so I give him that respect. A hip hop rapper that's a Christian, I've never done that before, except for my own music because I'm reliving my own pain, so to speak. So that really touched me, man, and it really resonated with me in a special way. Not to say that there are songs on the album that I feel like can just go in the trash. I do. Being broke made me rich can go straight to the trash can for me. Hammer Time can go to the trash can. But anyway, overall, I enjoyed the album, man. Really did.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. I mean, he got so many facts. The song Facts got so many quotables. It's crazy. Like, first off, we can mention the one that you talked about where he says, "I love Jesus," the one out of Nazareth, not the European with the ultra perm and them soft eyes and them thin lips. Like, there's that line, and then even earlier, like earlier in the song, like where he says that people talking about Cray, you so divisive. Shouldn't be a black church. He says, I say, do the math. Segregation started there first. It's like,
Finish it though. Finish it.
Oh yeah, it's a hey, you want unity? Then read a eulogy. Kill the power that exists up under you and over me.
Man,
and it's a dude that is that.
And that's what made me. And
that's a mic drop right there. That's mic drop material right there.
And that's what irked me about Armand acting as if Lecrae didn't talk about the problem. He said, if you want unity, read a eulogy. Remove the power that's under you and over me. Dude, that line is so, like you said, that is literally a mic drop album. I mean, mic drop line. And I'm like, oh my God. That line, and he repeated it twice because it was definitely a mic drop.
Oh, yeah. So Lecrae knew he hit gold with that. He knew he hit gold with that.
Right. So, but yeah, man, definitely an album that I feel like several conversations will be had from this album. And again, like I said, you can't fix the world from 12 songs. And that's not what he was there to do. He was here basically introducing you to his world. I don't feel like one person said, like Amon or many others, well, he said he was playing victim. I don't feel like Lecrae was playing the victim. He was just painting his reality. And some of the stuff that was coming at him that was frustrating him about the faith that he believed and the people that he put a lot of stock in, this was really causing him problems when he decided to speak out with the whole Mike Brown situation and the criticism that he got from that. I really think Lecrae wasn't expecting that, and that I think that took Lecrae on a ride of a reality check that maybe he hadn't had ever in his CHH life.
Yeah.
And of course, that really challenged his faith, challenged his desire, challenged his motivation, because I believe a lot of these people he helped in high regard. It's like when you get older, you start finding out that the people that you call leader and pastor ain't as perfect, ain't a step away from Christ like you thought.
Yeah.
Like this happened to me. Like I started realizing that the person I call pastor and the people I call leaders were fallible and human, so to speak. They were they were prone to falling no different than I. It took me a while to work out that reality and understanding to where I had to see them not just as my leader and as my overseer, but also as a human no different than I am, who has to work out their own soul salvation with fear and trembling, who has to lean on the Lord every second, and they prone to fall as well. You know, that really challenged me. So I think with that, with Lecrae, what he went through with these people probably coming at him, saying very divisive, mean, evil things towards them, seeing people true colors. We don't know what Lecrae have heard and was said to him and tweeted at him, or in his private messages, do text from people that he probably worshiped with and called brother and sisters in Christ. We don't know what was said to him because he said some of it. He kind of alluded to some of this, like shut up and just talk about Christ. We don't want to hear all that crap. And leave that stuff alone, and you're gonna ruin your career talking about this stuff, and just keep getting your evangelical money. Like that's like he was saying, like I ain't in his shoes. I don't know what that man experienced, but I definitely think it was a good album. A breath of fresh air from me with Lecrae, and it makes me excited for what possibly might happen after this. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. And then just seeing the stuff that Lecrae doing in the community, man, like which Lecrae been crazy generous just from stuff out of just like from things I've heard. And this is before he even broke Beeb.
Let Amon tell you Lecrae don't do nothing in the community, but Chance does. Anyway, let me stop. I'm not being unifying. I'm being divisive. Let me.
I mean, no, I mean you straight, man. I mean, because like that's something that irks me too, man. Like I won't go on that tip, but I feel you on that. But no, man, like how Lecrae basically paid for I want to say I think it was 4 college students to transfer from the college in Charlottesville, Virginia, to another school because they felt unsafe after the Charlottesville protests.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and he talks about it in more detail on the Breakfast Club interview, for those who want to check it out. But yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean, so like the crazy out here, man. He out here doing like powerful stuff, man, and he been on that too. I'm really pleased with the album. I was anticipating it. I definitely wasn't expecting it to be as. I knew he was going to speak from his faith. Like he's never stopped doing that. It's just that I guess based off of just his interviews and the way he was talking, I thought it was really going to be a lot more muted. I thought it was going to be like just more even more subtle than it had been in Gravity or Anomaly. And I was like, man, what's this going to look like? What's this going to, even though the first 4 singles that he released before the album dropped, all of them were, pretty, especially like, was it I'll Find You with Tori Kelly, and then Can't Stop Me Now, and I'm trying to think of the other one. His first single. It wasn't.
You talking about the one with?
It's not Hammer Time.
Nah, you talking about the one with what is it called? I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it right now. Hold on.
Yeah,
I can find it. Hold on. Go ahead, keep talking. I'll read it off, then we get out of it.
But yeah, I mean, but I really,
Is it Blessings?
Blessings, yeah, Blessings. Yeah. Like he had Blessings. He had then after Blessings came Can't Stop Me Now, and then after that,
Tori Kelly.
Yeah, after that came I'll Find You, and then after that, you know, he brought Hammer Time. And
Then broke get released somewhere in there too.
broke released here recently.
Okay.
Uh, now
He
I
just
swear
was broke in the
he
track.
now he did release Broke on his Destination tour last year. Like
I don't like broke is not good to me.
I
It
like
ain't
Broke.
bad. It's just
I like
sound too
Broke,
much,
man.
it sounds too much like what I can't stand what's going on with mama rap. You know? So I can't sit up here and love it with Lecrae and hate it when everybody else is doing it. So
You want to know what Broke remind me of?
what's that?
Broke remind me of '90s Bay Area rap. Like that beat, I think it's the beat. It reminds me of it's kind of funny. The song it actually reminds me of is actually it's not the most appropriate song, but it's a song. I forget the name of the group, but the name of the song was Don't Give Me No Bammer Weed, and it was
Never
like
heard
Don't
of
Give Me
that.
No Bam, Don't Give Me No. It was a like an underground hit in the
Okay.
'90s, but it's like Don't Give Me No
Well,
Bammer Weed. We don't smoke that stuff in the SFC. Yeah, it was a weed smokers
I
song.
be forgetting that you was a more of an underground listener. I'm sorry, I was commercial all day. But anyway,
I mean, which it had a commercial sound. It's just that they like. I think it was a that song had some buzz to it, but I don't think the group never really hit big. But
okay.
but yeah, but they were a West Coast, a Bay Area group, and that's like when I hear Broke, I
So they
think
must,
like
I said they knew. So they must have been around the E40 ish type.
yes,
Uh,
yeah,
Short
yeah,
and all them.
yeah,
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, to I guess we can either go ahead and start wrapping this up. But yeah, man,
yeah.
to finalize this podcast, what would you say? You give it a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10. What's your score on the album so far at this point?
On the
Yeah.
album, man, I would for me. I would probably say 9 out of 10, man. I think I
Nine out of
would
10.
because like the man, like the tone of the album, like just I enjoy the journey that that he takes us on. I enjoy how he brings us a little bit deeper into his world.
Okay.
He he deals with the issue of a girl, the lady who was supposed to be Mrs. Lecrae Moore, but who didn't, who wasn't, and how he did her wrong, and he owns it. He owns it.
Wish you the best.
Yeah. Wish you the best. He owns up to that.
Yeah.
On a
And it
song.
take a lot of courage for his wife to let him do that too, man.
Absolutely. That's another thing. Like, wish you the best. I really enjoyed that song. Um, I really enjoyed Facts. I really enjoyed Always New. Um, I like on 828 how he deals with losing his father-in-law and how that affected not only his wife but it affected him. Basically kind of like his father. I guess his father-in-law was like
His
a
father
surrogate
too.
father to him, father figure to him, and so uh,
Yeah.
just like I felt like Lecrae. And I don't know if there was any influence from 444, but it almost seems like the same way that Jay was real personal on 444, Lecrae was very personal, a lot more personal on this album. And he to me, I feel like
Well,
he brings you in
I
more.
don't. I say I'm not gonna say for me it was a 9 out of 10. I would say about a 7, 8. It was a solid album.
Yeah,
Again, because a lot of the songs in a row I had heard already, like at least 5 to 6 of the songs were
yeah.
already old to me. And that's the
Hmm.
only reason I'm giving it about an 8, a 7.5, 8 out of 10, because a lot of what was on here I had heard so much that it was not new. And that was, to me, that
Yeah,
was too much in a row to have
yeah.
already
Like
heard. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
like first off, Broken Blessings, which are two songs he released before the album came out. They're back to back.
back to back.
Then you get one song in between Blessings and then Hammer Time, which Hammer Time is another song he released a while back. I would say late winter, early spring. I want to say maybe. And then of course you get three more songs, and then you get three more songs that you haven't heard. Then you get Can't Stop Me Now and followed up by I'll Find You. Two songs that
there's a lot of songs in the row that you already been edged in your brain. It ain't so the newness about it wore off. But overall, man,
five out of 14, five tracks out of 14 that we had already heard in some form or fashion.
Yeah. So, but it's definitely a solid offering. Definitely worth listening to. Definitely some songs that will really make you do the rock eyebrow. Like, man, did he just say that? So, I'm definitely pleased with the project, and I'm hoping, that we get even more, from Lecrae.
Yeah.
But with that being said, man, I guess this will conclude the podcast. We're gonna end on my favorite song off the project. Well, one of my favorite songs. I won't say it's my favorite, but it's definitely one I go to listen to the most, and that's "Come and Get Me." I love this song. This got a lot of me feel to it. Like this is something Staff D would do.
That beat is you all day.
That beat, matter of fact, Chris GQ was like, he was like, Staff, man, that beat sound like a beat you made back in the day that I heard before. And he's like, the bass line is definitely. So, of course, I'm kind of biased to this track because it does sound like a few tracks that I have. So anyway, till next time, folks, this was the Thinking Out Loud Dangerous Minds podcast. Signing out, Trev.
Yeah, man, we appreciate everybody who tunes in. Also, before I officially sign off, man, I want to give a shout out to the homie Jeremy Ferguson. He been supporting us here, with our second run, and just appreciate him taking the time to listen to the podcast and really chime in. And also the homie.
One night, man. We need to get
definitely. We got to do that. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I also want to give another shout out to the homie Jimmy Miller. He also another individual that tries to support us.
Me feel like I got to do one. Well, we also got to throw Tony Jones in there because he also listens faithfully too. So.
Most definitely. What up, Tony? Yeah. What up, T Jones?
We got to get one of them on. But definitely try to get Jeremy on, man. It'd be a
absolutely
nice, outside perspective from us. So, but anyway, this is the Thinking Out Loud Dangerous Mind. Till next time, folks. Deuces.
Yeah.
Hey, Biz, let it drop right here. You better tell me if you're with me. I know the devil trying to stop me. Got these people out here wishing they could pop me. If they want me, come and get me. Man, I ain't scared of none of y'all. The only thing I fear the IRS and God. If you want me, go against me. Nah, they probably better think twice. Got angels over my head, war on my mind. If you want me, come and get me. Well, y'all might as well go ahead. I'm probably more of a threat to y'all when I'm dead, though. 24 years old, my mama brought me to the globe. She tried to tell me it was cold and taught me how to keep the code. Nah. She told me to go to school and get my education. But remember, there's a bias to them books that they been making. Gave me